All right. Hey, everybody. If you saw my Twitter feed earlier for Let's Fix This, you probably got a glimpse of what's going on in my head right now. So I just came from a meeting with the leaders of a bunch of other groups, advocacy groups, people that represent policy groups, arts, education, children, reproductive health, council of churches, women's groups. I'm leaving somebody out, but a big group of people, of other advocates. And we get together every few weeks to discuss kind of what's going on with the state. And the overarching message today is things are terrible. Like, things are looking really bad. I know that you've heard that before, and that's probably part of the deal, is that we all are coping with a level of like budget exhaustion. But here's the thing that I need you to understand, because I'm just coming to terms with it myself, is that things up here are really bad. Like, it's been bad in the past. Last year we had a $1.2 billion budget shortfall. This year we're looking at a $878 million budget shortfall. So the number isn't as bad, but we lost some key players. There were folks last year that kind of understood the process and they knew where to find money. And so they've been able to find some like one-time funding to ease the cuts a teensy bit, even though they were terrible. Like last year, they were so bad. But those people aren't here anymore. And the folks that are in leadership positions at this building, many of them don't understand the severity of this. Some people don't even believe that it's true. And it is. Agencies are having to submit budgets and what they would cut with the expectation they might receive a 15% budget cut. Think about that. Think about if you had your salary cut 15%, what would you give up? Now, what if that happened on top of a 30% cut last year? So you lost 30% last year and there's 15% this year. You can't pay rent, you can't pay electricity, you can't pay your phone, you can't buy food, you don't have clothes, your kids are starving. Like, this is where we're at as a state, okay? I'm not normally like an alarmist. I'm usually super cool, calm under pressure kind of guy. Those of you that know me know that's probably true. But oh my God, okay? Like, this isn't just offensive. Like, there's a lot of offensive stuff that may happen up here. There's a lot of offensive bills, and there's ridiculous stuff that affects no one's lives, or things that penalize the poor or marginalized groups. But this isn't just offensive. Like, this is stuff that does affect you. It affects me, and it affects you, and we've got to fix it. They've got to fix it. This is their job. We elect them. We pay their salaries for those folks to come to this building and make decisions about our budget, so that we as a society, like as a whole state, can get together and do what we need to do. So I want you to understand, like, it's exactly what you think it is. There are lobbyists, like the kind of lobbyists you're imagining. Skeezy guys, probably in nice suits. They get paid from lots of groups to come up here and lobby for lots of different things. And some of them are lobbying and winning for measures that not only take money away from people, but they take money away from people who can least afford it. It takes money away from poor people, from single moms, from children who go to schools. By shortening school weeks, kids are losing meals. They're literally starving kids by not funding education correctly. All this stuff all comes down to one core thing, and that is the state budget and the fact that it's not big enough. Everybody wants a bigger slice of the pie. Everyone needs a bigger slice of the pie, but there's not enough pie to go around. We need a bigger pie. I said this the other day that everyone wants a bigger slice of cake, but we're dealing with a cupcake. And no matter how big of a slice of cake you want, you're stuck with a tiny slice of a cupcake, and we need to get back to having a bigger cake. There's reasonable, responsible ways to do it. Oklahoma Policy Institute has a whole sheet with a whole bunch of ways to do it. They're really great. And from everyone I've talked to on both sides of the aisle, these are pretty reasonable. But we don't get to make the decisions. Our job is to elect people and to tell them what they need to do. So this is where it comes in for you and me and all these people, thousands, millions of Oklahomans who desperately care about our state. Here's what I need you to do. We've got to come up here. You've got to call, you've got to write letters or send emails or whatever it is you got to do. I understand you live far away, maybe you can't make it. But please, God, if you can make it, come up here. Come next Wednesday, the 22nd. We'll be up here at 9 o'clock in the morning on the second floor in the Blue Room. Come join us. get here. If you live in rural areas, we would love to have you. We're trying to put a big push on rural folks because everyone who lives outside the metro, I know, feels like their voice doesn't matter. But you've got to get up here and you've got to make your voice heard. You have to tell your legislators what you want. We joked in the meeting today, and you're going to start seeing this all over my feed and everybody else's feed. We want the state legislature to show us the money. There are reasonable, super reasonable things that people support. I get that we're all going to have to pay a little bit more, right? They cut our taxes a few years ago. I didn't even notice the $38 a year I saved, right? That I didn't buy a couple of cups of coffee, and that's probably it. But that $38 that I had, plus your $38 and your neighbor's $38 and all these people's $38 adds up to millions and millions of dollars that put food in people's mouths, that put textbooks in kids' hands, that give pay for people to get substance abuse and mental health treatment they desperately need. If you don't know, like, my background's in mental health. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and part of what I've spent the last 15 or so years doing is helping folks who are reliant on Medicaid funding to get them access to health care. And without that, they would die. Like today, I spoke to a man on the phone who lives about 2 hours from the city, who has Medicaid here in Oklahoma Sooner Care, and he uses his Medicaid. He's got HIV, so it pays for his medications. He's pretty bad off as it is. He's lived a hard life. He's made some bad choices, but he's really turned his life around. He's trying to live a good life, and that means that he needs this source of funding from the state in order to get his medications, because his medications cost about $2,000 a month. And so we've got to do it. We've got to come up here. You have to get involved. Like, it's not an option anymore. In the past, maybe we were hesitant. You wanted to stay at home. You're like, oh, I should call. I'll write them. You can't do it once. You can't do it twice. You've got to do it every week, every day. Do whatever the hell it is you got to do. But you've got to do it. Like, you've got to get involved. If you want options, go to okpolicy.org. Come to our website. Call me. Email me. Whatever. I'll stay up late. I will talk to you on chat or something. We can meet at a bar or a restaurant or a coffee shop. We can talk about this. If there's another group that you're tuned into, if you're tuned into the Institute for Child Advocacy, if you're tuned into Planned Parenthood, if you're tuned into the schools, the Education Association, everyone's on the same page, right? We've passed up option after option to make this state way better, to fix these things so we don't have these problems every year. And here we are. And I guarantee that if they don't pass some revenue measures in the next few weeks, then it's going to be gone. And we're going to be looking at devastating, catastrophic level cuts to state services. We're about halfway through with the session this year. Next week, actually, is the deadline date for measures to be heard in their chamber of origin, so in the House or the Senate. It's a big deadline. Wednesday night, they will probably be here late. And so Wednesday at 9 o'clock in the morning, we're going to meet here, going to have our monthly Capitol Day for everyone to come and come meet with your legislators. You can call and make an appointment. That's a great way to do it. If you can't do it, you can try to catch them in the hallways. And hell, if they're on the floor of the House or the Senate, you can submit a thing to pull them off the House floor to introduce yourself and tell them, listen, I want to give you some more, like, I want you to raise my taxes a little bit. You don't have to go broke on it, but just raise it a little bit because you want your kid to be able to have a good school. My son starts kindergarten in the fall, and I'll be damned if I'm going to let him not have the resources he needs going through school. So there's lots of things. And some of it, cigarette tax, which everyone thought was going to pass. It's regressive, yes, but it will reduce smoking rates, which we're super high on anyway, and it's an ongoing revenue solution that's broadly supported if it'll just go through. Raising the fuel tax. We haven't adjusted our fuel tax in like 15 years, 20 years. We could all spare an extra like nickel at the pump, right? And all these nickels add up, will make a big difference. Hey, how about a surcharge on the rich? I get no one wants to pay more in taxes than they already do, right? Like, I used to be more conservative, and even still, like, no one wants to pay the government any more money than we already have to, unless you realize that that money goes to a really good cause. And like, there's plenty of ways that things are wasted, right? Like, we're paying billions of dollars for fighter jets that are riddled with problems on the national level. But here in this state, here in Oklahoma, we're damn good stewards of our money. We put it to good use. We've got state parks, we've got memorials, we've got things we try to do with it. And right now we've cut so much that we're losing that. There's not that much waste. There is, we've cut a lot of it out, and here we are. Like, we cut too deep, and we're bleeding, and we're going to frickin' die. If I can make it through this without cursing at you, I'll feel like a big victory. So people talk about the gross production tax. That's how much oil and gas wells are taxed for how much they produce. It used to be 7%. We cut it to 1. Then we doubled it to 2%. 2%. 2 tiny percent. These people are building giant towers, making huge profits. And I promise you that if you put profits ahead of people, we will come for your seat, we will run against you, and we will win, because we want the people of Oklahoma to be first and not corporate profits, right? I tag all the time, people over policy, or over politics, over party. This is a bipartisan thing. I don't care who you are on both sides of the aisle. I got friends on both sides. You're still my friends, even if you vote against me. But I want you to know that, like, this is important, not just to me, but to lots of people. I got a little upset today in the meeting. We got a little heated and excited, and I wanted to come tell you in hopes that you get heated and excited too. So come next week, Wednesday morning, 9 o'clock, show up. We'll be here. You'll get a red button. We'll all march around together. We can hold hands. We'll sing a song. I don't care what it takes. Whatever it takes to make the state not, like, face these catastrophic cuts that will literally ruin or cost people their lives. Next Wednesday evening, we're going to do our Capitol crawl. Hopefully some legislators will still come with us after they happen to see this post. But come hang out. Big Truck Tacos at 6. The Pump at 7 and Rockford at 8. Hang out. If they're still in session after that, we're coming back to the Capitol. We're not going to drink too much. We're going to just eat some tacos and hang out and chat and come back here and sit in the gallery and stare at them until they, like, realize that we are there watching them, begging them to make a difference. If you got to show up and stand outside with signs, if anybody wants to come camp out here with a big sign that says "Show me the money," I'll bring you food. I'll bring you food 5 days a week if I have to. Not all of you, just, like, I'll do what I can, okay? Like, we'll raise money, whatever it takes. But, like, we've got to do something. You have got to get involved. You've got to get involved. You've got to do whatever it is that you can do. If you want to write letters, you want to paint pictures, you want to do a performance, art piece, whatever it is, get up here, get involved, and help us fix this for the love of Pete. Like, I don't know what's going to happen if they cut another 15% from Medicaid. Nico Gomez, hell of a guy, tried his hardest last year to get them to accept some Medicaid funding, and they didn't do it, and they cut it, and they cut provider rates. I know tons of counselors that have got out of the field and gone back to, like, do hair or be auto mechanics or do other stuff. I know friends that are doing construction because they would rather swing a hammer than help somebody because they can't get paid for it. So, okay, that's it. That's all I got. It's a big plea between me and all of you, the good people of Oklahoma who I love, who I know care about this stuff. So get up here, come up here, and do this. Make a phone call, write a letter, send an email, show up next Wednesday, make your voice heard, and you've got to tell your legislators that how you want them to vote, and that if they don't, we've got to hold them accountable. If you have any interest in running for office, I encourage you to do so. I don't even care which side. Just give us options, right? Like, run. Do it. We'll find a way. And if you want to find reasonable revenue solutions, give me a call. Let's talk. We'll talk about it. I'll help you get plugged in. You can learn more how this process works. We've only got like 11 weeks left, right? So this is what we got to do. That's it. That's all I got for today. I'll see you on Wednesday.